Start off our wake-up conversation with the third citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'm talking about no other person than the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and he says poverty is not a crime. It could be virtue from God. And this has led to lots of reactions on social media, and people are saying, you know, if it's a virtue from God, why didn't you collect that virtue of poverty? But I do agree with him that poverty is not a crime. It's also an indictment on the elite class, the political ruling class. We can't start from 1960, so we'll start from 1999. But let's take a listen, hear it from the horse's mouth, or rather the Senate President's mouth, and then we'll come back to dissect the issue, because like every debate, there are both sides to a story. Yeah.
And you have a man who died, as a man today, the Pope, who was worth only $100, showing that yes, you cannot worship God in splendor, and that the best way to worship God is to worship God through self-sacrifice for others. So the message is very clear that Nigerians should love one another, and that poverty is not a crime, and that poverty could sometimes be a virtue of God, and that whatever you have, you should be able to share with your brothers.
Now, just to mention that was an interview he granted on the Nigerian Television Authority, and it was being asked, I think it was something in the line of lessons he learned from the life of the Pope, and he was reflecting on the life and times of the Pope, talking about how, you know, the Pope was not fixated on money, how much he had at the end of his life, and how at the end of the day you can pick a lesson that poverty is not a crime. Nigerians, of course, have taken that and said, this lesson that you are saying that the Pope's life has taught you, did you learn this lesson yourself? You know, especially because the legislators, Nigerian legislators, have always been at the forefront of controversies regarding so many conversations, from budget padding to not being empathetic about the plight of the people.
Also,
recall that this same senator
functions. Yeah.
Recall that this same speaker was the one who said they would receive prayer in their emails, of course, talking about money at a time when Nigerians were crying about the state of the economy.
And are still crying.
But what he's saying, like Benga said, is not a lie. Poverty, and they would argue with me, because I worry that whilst I do not want us to become the poverty capital of the world, whilst I do not want us to be known for poverty, because there's more to Nigeria, but even the Holy Books say the poor will always be among you, right? But the challenge now is that, I mean, the other day we saw a preacher that said God does not associate with the poor. Jesus did not associate with the poor, which is a blatant lie. You know, it's heresy and
as a hustler.
It's a blatant lie. Jesus was here for the rich, he was here for the poor, but this is not a religious discourse. What I'm saying is, people need to understand that there are procedures and processes. Even when you want to make wealth, there are rules. You're spending, you're earning. We need to kill that desire for overnight success, the desire to just have everything. I think the major reason why Nigerians are attacking him will be the fact that lawmakers have been in the eye of the storm. The Senate President in particular has been in the eye of the storm for several controversies, and they're saying, we hope that you have also learned this lesson that you're preaching.
I mean, according to MBS data, 63% of Nigerians are multidimensionally poor. And that's coming from a government agency. So you would know that figure is very conservative. There would always be poor people, but what is the government doing about it? Where are the social safety nets? You look at a country like Norway, for example, they have the biggest sovereign wealth fund. They planned for the future. They didn't spend the excess money they made on rainy days. They planned, and that money is used to take care of the poor and vulnerable in society. So if you're an orphan in Sweden, in Norway, most of the Scandinavian countries, you rather there's almost zero homelessness in those countries. So where are the poor people? That's a responsibility of government. It's a lottery that we're born into, the family we're born into, but I don't think God intended to put us on this earth to suffer. As a result of circumstances, some people end up in the lower rung of society, but it doesn't mean they're less human. So it's a duty for government, where people pay taxes, for a country that is blessed with human and material wealth.
Yes.
It's an indictment that children, if we drive around now, they are hawking in traffic when they should be in school. And then in that same country, people are driving cars that were not manufactured to even ride in the midst of such poverty. You see Lamborghinis, Bugattis. I'm not saying you don't have a right to what you should spend your money on. But there's something not right, especially if you're a public official. It should reflect. Learn from Captain Ibrahim Traore and Thomas Sankara.
Great words, Benga. I mean, I think for me, I've always said it's the timing. Our leaders should best learn timing. And timing, in this case, simply means before you make certain statements, you should be able to read the room. If you're talking about the late Pope, you might also mention, okay, about the poor. Have you also mentioned other things, the other aspects of the entirety that you could talk about?
Speaking up for the vulnerable.
Exactly.
And he could have still talked about that poverty without saying what he said.
Exactly. So what I'm going to say is, was the Senate President wrong in his statement? The answer is no. He made his points clear, and he was, of course, reflecting on having gone to the burial and so on and so forth. But for Nigerians, that timing is wrong. And I think for the leaders, they need to really understand that for you to put something out there, you need to be able to understand what's the mood of Nigerians right now. Think about it. It's like the solar panel issue. You're trying to ban the solar panel, of course, which is going to be one of our conversations today. You're trying to ban the solar panel, but you're also trying to install that in Aso Villa. Not just that, you're also ensuring that, while we put this ban, the hospitals don't have it. So it's a case of, we need to think carefully before we make certain remarks. But then again, he said it, and Nigerians just have to deal with it. Don't forget that this is the same person who said, while you people are protesting, I would be in my house eating. And the same person said, if hunger catch you, anywhere you see where people are eating, you should do what? Join them and eat. So it's been many remarks too many. It's been one remark too many.
I think that he needs a communications person.
Maybe the Senate
President. Did they even listen to the advisors? The Senate, the President, former political advisor, senior special advisor on politics, said he only saw Mr. President once. He didn't even have time to give the President advice. He's been giving interviews recently. He said Mr. President is very insular. Those around him prevent him from getting advice. It's only his inner
I think Senator Ali Ndume also made that remark as well. That he's been stopped many times, not able to see the President.
You think just because they appoint you as an SSA, they say you should come and eat breakfast, that you can be giving opinion? You better observe table manners.
They really summed it all up. So there's just about little I could add to this. This is a Senate President where almost all the statement he makes outside during the need for one is always wrong. This is the same Senate President who took his own other fellow senators to his house and showed them the splendor of his house. Who could have come back and say, there is no need for Nigerians to be in poverty. Nigerian children should not be out of school. The same Senate President that will make a statement like that poverty is not a sin. While they've spent time and they've stolen our commonwealth. I understand the guys in the studio could not say words like that. But you and I are free to say it because we're free to comment on stuff like that when we see dubious lawmakers, weak leaders like Senator Godswill Akpabio, when they make derogatory statements like that, then you got to call them out. It's an indictment on the leadership of our country, where in the midst of so much, Nigerians are in squalor, in multidimensional poverty like we've never seen before. And yet, these same people, this same man was the same person that said, we'll send prayers to your inbox, knowing that they're sending monies to themselves, whilst Nigerians are suffering. This same leadership of this same current assembly is the same one that has been accused of bribery, collecting bribes from the executive. It's an indictment on our politicians. That's why we must rise. We must speak up. We must not keep quiet. We must sensitize each other. We shouldn't be living in poverty. This poverty that Nigerians are faced with is man-made. We shouldn't be living in poverty. We're so wealthy enough to never smell the word called poverty. But our nation is governed by inept, weak leaders without visions, no direction for the future of the country. So when you hear a Senate president like this, who is commenting on his attendance of the Pope's funeral, but yet never even made a statement to commiserate with the people who've died across the entire nation in these recent spate of killings that we've experienced, is the same person telling Nigerians poverty is not a sin, that you should embrace it, something that himself did not want to embrace. Himself confessed of how his mother raised him and his sisters through hardship, and is telling you it's not a sin. That's not God's design. There's no way you will see where he says, I love for you to be in poverty. He knew that people might, we might have the poor amongst us, but it never really something that he said we should do to be in poverty. So this is man-made, and some people benefiting from it. And that's why you can tell Nigerians it's not a sin. And that's why we must work hard to get an unelected set of people come 2027. So make sure you share this content, like and subscribe if you're meeting it for the first time, and also recommend this channel to others. We must continue this sensitization to make sure we have more Nigerians be part of this move for a better country. We cannot leave our country in the hands of these criminal elements anymore. They've ruined Nigeria to stupor, and that has to stop. Thank you. We'll catch up in the next video. God bless you. Bye-bye for now.